Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today on Culture A. Today, I have a very interesting guest who I'm super excited to actually get into the discussion with. With me is Diego Carrete. I got it right?
Yeah.
I got it.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you. Diego is the Chief Wellness Officer at First Abu Dhabi Bank. And I'm so keen to have this conversation because, first of all, you really don't see people in C-suite positions that focus on wellness. Okay, I think you're the first.
I believe one of the first in the UAE and in the financial sector.
I mean, I need to know everything. Okay, so he joins us from First Abu Dhabi Bank. He's also the driving force behind an organization called Leaner. It's a company dedicated to help busy executives become healthier and more energetic with a very clear plan for success. His focus is very much on wellness, of course, and how to turn it into a key part of how companies operate. I'm going to pause. I do have a lengthy introduction that I prepared, but to be honest, I'm throwing it out the window because I want to hear directly from Diego. So, Diego, first of all, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. I'm excited. Yeah, very pleased to be here.
Thank you. Okay, can you tell us basically everything about you? I would love to hear, how did you land in the position you're in today? Specifically, how your career evolved? Because if I rewind 5-6 years ago, I don't remember anyone really focusing on wellness. It wasn't as popular a topic as it is now. So how did you go from that state to current state where everyone is focused on it and you're now Chief Wellness at First Abu Dhabi Bank?
I'm going to try and shorten it and make it brief. So how everything started. I've been in the UAE for 10 years almost. And when I got here, I had no job. I actually... fun fact, I was job hunting for 88 days. 88, and I say this because if you've been here long enough, you would know that the tourist visa in Dubai is for 90 days, right?
Yeah, okay.
So just before it expired...
Clock was ticking, yeah.
Yeah, so it was challenging. I recently had graduated from FAU, Florida. I came to the UAE with nothing but a backpack, to be honest with you. And all my savings that I had went through the apartment where I was staying in the marina. And I was applying for jobs non-stop from Starbucks in Dubai Marina Mall. And I guess it was because I wasn't in the country long enough. So there was maybe a lot of skepticism about newcomers. I definitely felt like I had the capabilities to definitely get a good position with my academic background. So 88 days... After that, I got a call from a recruiter and I started a job 3 months later. Now, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and one thing led to another. I quit that job and I launched my own company. I co-founded a company in the fitness sector. Long story short, I started working, got hired from one of my clients, and I started doing corporate wellness. So I was taking care of different financial leaders in a small boutique consulting firm in the DIFC. And then I launched FitLife, which is my company now rebranded to Leaner.
Okay. And that was how long ago, sorry?
That was when I started FitLife was 2020, in the middle of the pandemic. Actually, I lost my job in the corporate wellness sector, and my kid was on the way, our first daughter. I had a mortgage to pay, and I really was,
That's tough. That's super tough.
That was tough because I didn't have anything with me. I was focusing on corporate wellness, so I started from scratch during the pandemic, and that's when I built my business. I remember I worked probably from 6 a.m. to 9-10 p.m. over 7 months straight.
Wow.
I pursued an opportunity in India. They called me, a high-level personality called me to open a business there. And it couldn't materialize just because of the pandemic. So I flew back, and that's when I launched FitLife. It just became a success. So I focused on executives, on men and women that are busy, but they don't have time to take care of themselves.
So how does it, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, sure.
Tell me a little bit about FitLife. Like, how does it work? So I'm a company and I contact you and you come in to deal with the executives that we have, or am I contacting you as a person?
It was B2C.
Okay.
As an individual.
Okay.
And I ended up working with well-positioned men and women in the region, and word of mouth just grew. So I ended up working with financial leaders in the region, and it was very successful. Then I started working with Fab, started as a consulting sort of project, and then 1 year later, I'm just so passionate, and I love the environment. I love people at Fab. They welcome me with open arms. They really supported me from the marketing and comms department. It just was fantastic, and I was lucky enough to receive a call if I wanted to take the role as Chief Wellness Officer, and I didn't doubt it for a second. I just, like we say in Spain, grabbed the bull by the horns and got to it, and now it's just been awesome. It really has changed my life. I feel very welcome in the company. I think I'm doing something great for people's lives. I think I'm evolving as a person, as a professional. So
that's so important.
Yeah, I wouldn't change a thing. I'm really happy.
That's so good. That's so good to hear, and it's so nice to hear how you came to Dubai on a whim. Like, you took a risk there, you know, just coming here with a backpack. I have so much respect for people that can do that, because I'm not like that. I don't have that in me to take that leap of faith and just try.
I have nothing to lose at the end of the day. Yeah. It's not that my family, you know, we're not rich, or we're not normal class, right? And my dad paid my education abroad. And when I came here is because I was just not in a good emotional state. So I wanted to leave the US. I had to leave the US, and I was just going through a lot, and I needed a change of scenery. So I had a bit of savings, and I came here. I had literally just one contact, the one who rented the apartment for me, and that's it. And you know, I was ready to go back home and see what to do. But then I got that call, and it really changed my life. And I remember it like it was yesterday. So
that's amazing. That's so nice to hear, actually.
And now, here we are.
Here you are. So, Chief Wellness Officer at First Abu Dhabi Bank, married, right? With a daughter, one daughter?
We have a second, since a month, 7 weeks already, Leon, baby Leon.
No.
Iris and Leon, yeah.
Oh, that's
so father
so
of
nice.
two.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
It's hard, isn't it? The father of two thing.
It's hard,
it's
but
hard.
Yeah, the mom is just, a superstar. So she allows me to take the spotlight and do what I love, and she's in the background just making sure that everything runs properly. So credit to her. She's an absolute rock star.
What a
and
legend.
Without her, no way I would be here.
I have to give a lot of credit to her. I know what it feels like. So
wow.
Thank you for saying that. I'm sure she really appreciates it. Okay, let's jump into so I don't want to focus too much on First Abu Dhabi, but jumping into a role as Chief Wellness. So you have the background from Leaner, but when you walked into the financial industry, where do you start? How do you start building?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Yeah.
I have a peculiar background in the respect that I've been in the wellness industry since I'm 14 years old. However, my background is in business and marketing. So I studied in ESSEC in Paris. It's one of the best business schools, and in FAU, Florida, finished my degree there. So I have a good understanding of business and what it means to be busy. So I sort of merged my academic background and expertise. And so I said, how do I start, right? So I had some experience in corporate wellness, as I said, working in Dubai. And I'm just a very agile learner. So I just understood the organization and see, okay, how can I make people better? I have good mentors as well. Credit to them, because I'm always...
That's important.
Yeah, for sure. I have now currently 3 mentors. One of them, being Olivier Girard, is an ergonomist, is an occupational health specialist, and he's been, always supporting and giving me direction. So I just have a good team around me, and I just allow myself to believe that I can do great things. And we started just by understanding the organization. Okay, so where are we? Where do we want to be? And how do we bridge that gap? Simplicity is the name of the game. And we started building, get great feedback and accurate feedback from, HR, from Fab, from the executive committee, from the leaders at Fab. And I just get good feedback, and they believe in me. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm really blessed.
It's been how long, you said? A year?
I started consulting with, I started first as a sort of consultant for 1 year. And this April will be 1 year since I'm officially in the role, and we've done amazing things.
That's so good. Okay, wellness is not my expert area. Okay, I'm within the HR world. My background is in talent acquisition. That's what I've been doing I'm going on 18 years of doing that, which is insane. And so I don't know much about this space.
Yeah.
I did some research, okay? I did some research So I'm going to tell you a few facts. There was a study done by Gallup that found that highly engaged teams comprised of workers whose well-being is valued show 21% greater profitability and lower rates of employee turnover and absenteeism. Okay, that's one fact. Second fact, according to the American Psychological Association, 91% of employees whose company executives support wellness initiatives believe they're motivated to produce their best work. So there's a correlation there between wellness and productivity. Last one. There was a study conducted by Forbes, okay, and they said that 87% of employees reported that they consider health and wellness initiatives when choosing an employer. And 89% of workers are more likely to recommend their company as a good place to work if they support wellness efforts. So there's obviously a huge shift in terms of what people perceive as the importance behind wellness. And now it's creating actually like a criteria in their mind of whether or not they would consider an employer, refer their employer, take on a job with them, and so on. So it's a huge area. It's not just something it's not a phase. It's not like a buzzword that people are throwing around. This is something that's actually shifting the way that people are selecting their employment.
100%.
Yeah. So first of all, did you know this going into this space? Did you know that there was this hunger behind it? And did you have to push this agenda?
Yeah, well, basically I did know, but we have visionary leaders at FAB, and they knew better than I did. And that's the reality. We're very lucky in that respect. So I did know, and moreover, especially in younger generations, motivations go beyond remuneration, especially after COVID. So we need to enhance as employers, our employee value proposition, because there is a literally war of talent. And it's not like it could have been in the past where the employer chooses XYZ. It's mutual. There is the reciprocity factor on that respect, and the employee has choices because they also understand that they can become entrepreneurs, especially with the online world nowadays. You have young kids making fortunes on a daily basis. So there are choices. And once you have choices, you need to be the employer of choice, right? And that means more than just the salary. There is a few determinants that either impair wellness in the organization or enable wellness.
Okay.
And those are the determinants that I am taking into account when I devise the strategies. I take those determinants out of research and I emphasize the ones that I believe are going to make people better. I'm not sure how clear that was, but yes, wellness is a key decision-making factor.
It is a key decision-making factor, but let me break it down for everyone who's listening. For you, Diego, how do you define wellness?
Wellness is a very broad, depending on the context, but is the alignment between the emotional, the physical, and the mental that allows you to become your best version, right? I don't think I've ever said that before in those specific, wordings, but is that alignment between the mental, the physical, and the emotional that enables you to be a happy human being and to live your best life, to show up as your best self. When you have wellness, you are able to show up like that.
Yeah.
And that, of course, improves the way that you interact with others, your productivity, your efficiency, your lifespan, your health span, everything.
Retention.
Absolutely. No, from an employer perspective, for sure. Retention, attraction, more productivity. So it's sort of a trifecta, right? We're looking at an employee that is healthy is going to be able to produce more, is also going to be able to stay for longer. And for whoever is not there, you're going to have more chances of attracting the right person because he's joining your brand because you bring a strong employee value proposition.
Right. So I have two perspectives, okay, when it comes to this and to the world of HR. I have obviously the perspective of from the business end, okay, from a corporation, what does an employer want to do, okay, in this space, and how do they want to value their employees, and how do they want to market themselves, and what's their employer brand, and so on. And then there's the perspective of me as a person, right? And I speak to my friends, and I have family, and you always hear like anecdotal stories of what it's like to work in someone's office, or you always hear about someone's day, and there's always these reoccurring characters. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, but they're always in the stories. I don't hear much about the wellness space. I think what I'm trying to say is I think people still are not able to associate some of the initiatives that a company will do in the direction of wellness. They will instead take it not for granted, but as part of the business as usual. So in that sense, you don't have word of mouth that's marketing for you as an organization. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know exactly.
Okay, so from the employer side, I was reading up on this, and this sounds really crass, okay? But I'm just going to say it because I read it. I didn't make it up, I read it. It says, keeping employees healthy means they don't miss work as often, and healthy employees result in lower healthcare costs, which equals lower insurance premiums, okay? Which I think is too black and white. I mean, you can't talk about people like transactions. There's so much more. Okay. But this article started off with this line, and I think because I was so kind of shocked by it, I kept on reading. Maybe that was the purpose of the line. And it was telling you about different companies that exist in the world and some of the wellness initiatives that they've implemented. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few of them. Flexible working, which, as you said, COVID kind of shifted everyone's way of working. So flexible working, people are now used to either working from home or a hybrid working model. And it's something that people look for when they're looking for an employer.
100%.
Okay, and they actually demand it now. It was something with me. I started to demand it, which I wouldn't have done 6-7 years ago.
Yeah,
right?
It was unthinkable, wasn't it?
It was unthinkable. Like, there's no way I could have that conversation.
Yeah.
And now it's one of the first things that you discuss. And it's one of the first things that people use to advertise jobs. They put flexible working or hybrid working. LinkedIn has the option of, advertising a job with that. You can select, which one it is, so people know right away if it's based in the office or not. Yeah, I know. So it's that top of mind, okay? Other initiatives, financial education. So apparently there's a US-based East Coast supermarket chain called Wegmans, and they have an employee assistance program, okay? And they help the employee plan for dependent costs for like your older dependents. So if you're sponsoring, for example, your family, how can you plan financially to be able to support them?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Which is awesome, right?
Yeah,
like I saw that and I couldn't believe it. I don't know any companies here that do that. Maybe I'm too far away from it.
Maybe. I don't know. I have no knowledge about that, but that's very interesting.
It is very interesting, isn't it? Yeah. And then Ritz-Carlton, okay, they have team members that are authorized to spend up to $2,000 per guest to resolve a customer issue. So they give them full autonomy, is essentially what they're classifying as wellness. They have the choice to act on something to please in the manner of like, or in the perspective of customer service.
It's customer experience.
To enhance that within a limit of $2,000, but they don't have to get approval from like a manager or a supervisor.
That's very important. Otherwise, the customer experience gets hindered right away when you have to ask for permission. You should be autonomous enough to think that's one part of wellness. One component of wellness, now that you mentioned this, is the ability to allow your team to make decisions, give them autonomy. Because with autonomy, they feel competent, and with competence, increase motivation. And if they are motivated, they produce more.
100%.
So that's exactly right.
100%.
Giving
and
autonomy.
I've experienced that in the past, not now, but quite a while ago in my career. I was working somewhere that was a smaller organization, and it was family run. So with these kind of factors, sometimes you've got management that really want to be involved in every decision that's made. But then as an employee, it does make you feel like, what's the purpose of my role if I can't make a decision on my own, and then it delays everything. And there's this timeline attached to any little thing that you want to do. So it is very demotivating. You don't want to stay somewhere like that.
It is. I would label it as giving your team the permission to fail.
Yeah.
And understanding that imperfect action is what's going to eventually get you to where you want to be. And there is an old mentality of everything needs to be perfect. We need to make mistakes. And 100%. The encouragement from leaders on that respect, giving the ability, there's no other way to learn, right?
100%. I am a big fan of fail to learn. I think it's so important also, because if you're not the one that fails, then you're not the one that's actually going to learn anything from that scenario, right?
You need to delegate, and you need to enable the power to act to your team.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes a little bit, somehow, it happens to me as an entrepreneur as well. You delegate, and you know they have the tools and resources, and they can come back to you for reassurance. But until you take that leap of faith, you won't move the needle. You won't move the business forward.
100%.
And that's what I think leaders do very well where I'm at. They give you permission to fail. They give you the power to act, the tools and resources that you need to succeed, but they allow you to fail with the idea of learning from your mistakes and getting better.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's so important. Okay, back to the facts.
Let's do it.
Are you enjoying these?
100%.
Okay, so work-life balance, people throw this term around, but let me tell you about an app developer called Full Contact. They offer unlimited vacation days, which people have talked about before. How does it actually work? How do you track it? What does it do? How are you tracking that it's actually beneficial? Blah, blah, blah. But employees are offered $7,500 as an annual bonus for taking time away from the office. If the employee checks their email or their voicemail while they're away, the bonus is taken off the table.
Wow, that's disruptive. I guess, wow, that's a challenging one too.
Isn't it? I read that and I was like, this is insane.
I mean, that I have that. I plead guilty to that. I honestly, I enjoy what I do so much that...
You want to be connected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know there's people somehow depending on my ability to make decisions or guide them further. And I guess that would be, I'm not asking for any raise here. I'm just saying that, you know, I practice the no phone zone. It's key for mental well-being.
Do you? You actually do it?
I do it. I do it before bed. Yeah. I do it before bed. And in the morning, during the first hour, there is no way I'll be looking at my phone. No way. For the first hour, I'm out. Like, I wake up, I breathe, I meditate, I practice gratitude. I'm religious with that.
Yeah.
And there's one of the main things that I got my mental health in the right place, because I've been through quite a lot, is waking up in a proactive mode instead of a reactive mode. So what do I have to offer to the world versus what is the world demanding from me? I cannot put other people's priorities first, no matter who they are, except my kids. But if I cannot show up as my best self, then the ones who are going to be suffering the consequences are my kids. So I need to first connect with myself. What do I have to offer to the world today? Who I want to show up as today? And if it was my last day on earth, I want to make sure that I eat something tasty, that I make someone smile, and, you know, that I make someone's day. And in order to do that, I need to be my best self. And that hour is key.
There's so much I can say about this. First of all, it's really powerful. I think it takes so much discipline. I think there's a lot of people out there who are like me, in the sense that we understand the need for this. We understand the value in it. We understand how beneficial it is. But putting it into practice is much more difficult. I can say, like, what you said really kind of struck something with me, because I don't wake up in a proactive state at all. Like, for me, it's totally reactive. It's how I start every single day. And finding that time to carve out for yourself, to make sure that you're in the right space to handle your day, to be prepared for your day, is so difficult when you have so many competing priorities. But the way that you've positioned it, if it was my last day on earth, then that's a big one, because if it was my last day on earth, I would have handled it totally wrong.
Tomorrow is not guaranteed. Yeah. You know, touch wood, you know, but you need to, I like to think like that, because I just learned that through my mental health journey, right? I need to enjoy every day as if it was the last, and I want to show up as person who is compassionate, who is, you know, kind, who is, and for that, I need to be in the right state. But in order to master this morning routine, let me tell you that it comes from the night before. So all these decisions of waking up in a certain mode, I have made already the night before. That is going to dictate how I wake up. So failing to prepare is preparing to fail. So the night before, I make sure that my evening routine is right. Otherwise, my morning routine won't be right. I won't sleep less than 8 hours myself.
You won't?
I won't.
Even with a newborn?
it changes.
It
changes.
Okay.
But my wife, again, she's a hero. So because I've realized that if I have the ability to sleep 8 hours, I won't trade it for Netflix. Like if I sleep 8 hours, I am like I have an unfair advantage towards that, plus waking up early puts me on a different plane of action.
Yeah, no, sleep is a huge one. Sleep on its own is a complete topic. I mean, we can go into how beneficial, how important, how disruptive it is to your entire day.
Coach.
You have a sleep coach?
One of my mentors.
Do you?
Yeah.
So I met a sleep coach, obviously, my oldest son, who's 3.5, when we were trying to sleep train him, I obviously had the help of a sleep coach. And I was so surprised to find out that she worked with adults. I didn't engage with her for myself because I think I also lack the discipline to put myself first, right? So tell me about this. Like, how did you decide I need to get a sleep coach?
Well, we got in touch. He's actually going to work with us at FAB.
Okay.
And he's also Spanish. His name is Gregorio Mora. And I believe I am a coach, right? My other hat is as a coach. And I believe I'm a coach for anyone in the B2B space as well when I'm acting as a chief wellness officer. And if you're a coach, you need to believe in coaching. You need to be congruent. And I just felt that it was one area that it was so key for me, the same as occupational health, the same as XYZ. And I want to invest. Otherwise, I cannot ask people to invest their time, energy, or money on me if I'm not being congruent with that fact. Plus, when you pay attention.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. It
needs to hurt slightly in the pocket. Otherwise.
Otherwise you have nothing keeping you there. You're right. You're absolutely right. I was gonna get to this a little bit later, but I want to jump into it because we already started talking about it. I'm gonna give you. You're going to be mortified when you hear this. I'm gonna give you an idea of my typical day. Okay,
right. And
I would like to know. The areas that are going wrong and I think so. Why am I giving you my typical day? Because I think a lot of people operate this way. It's not because I'm trying to get some advice. A lot of people operate in the same way. So I want to know, what am I doing? What are we doing that's starting us off on the wrong foot, in the sense that when we get to work, we're not prepared. We're not prepared. We're not as productive. We're not as efficient. Okay. So what my day looks like. I'll start from the night before, because you said
I won't get scared. I go through this on a daily basis.
Do you?
Trust me. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to start from the night before. Okay. Yeah. So context, mother of 2 kids, 3.5 years old, 1 year and 4 months. Okay. So night before, they go to bed at about between, let's say, 7 and 8, depending. My son varies from night to night. Okay. I don't consider the day done until he is asleep, and he's the one that goes to sleep later. So I'll probably say that I'm free around 8:30, jump in the shower, have maybe 2 hours before I am out for the night. And in those 2 hours, I go downstairs, watch TV with my husband, we'll have dinner. And typically I pass out on the couch. Okay. This is literally like I just fall asleep in the middle of watching something. Go up to bed, and then wake up around the 6:30 mark, 6:30, okay? My day in the morning starts off with me jumping out of bed, okay, panicking about the fact that we have to get out of the house as soon as possible because I need to drop my kids to school and then I need to get to work. And I don't work anywhere near where I live, okay? So throw them in, rush them for breakfast. We sit down, we have our breakfast together, get in the car, drop them off at school, lugging all the 10,000 bags. Drop them off, take myself to work as fast as I can, and then get in. And my work day is literally from the second I walk in until the time I leave, I'm back-to-back meetings. Okay, so I'm talking all day. I don't eat at work because I work limited hours in the office so that I can pick up my kids from school. Okay, so I don't eat at work so that I can maximize the time I have when I'm in the office to have my meetings.
No, to be honest, first of all,
everything is wrong.
I am not who. I can only advise, but I cannot put myself in your shoes. You are already doing better than I am, because if I would have 2 kids that depend fully on me, like, I cannot be a hypocrite. I don't know how it feels like. So you are already having one of the hardest jobs on earth, which is to be a great mom.
Thanks.
So on that respect, I don't like to tell you, this is wrong, this is right, because that way I'm putting myself in a position where I am judging what you're doing, and I'm nobody to judge. But what I can do is, from my perspective, I'm putting my sort of wellness officer hat to tell you what I would do if I could intervene on what would I advise you based on science and based on my experience and the experience of thousands of people that I've coached. So there is something called, let me think of, this name always gets me, revenge bedtime procrastination. It's actually a term, and people suffer from it when they actually take revenge in leisure and pleasurable activities such as watching TV or snacking, because they couldn't do that throughout the day and they feel like they deserve.
Yeah, like
right?
they should do it.
Yeah. So that's something that 9 out of 10 people, 9 out of 10 executives somehow, from my experience, again, these are my numbers, there are no stats around this, they suffer from or they fall for. So one of the things would be to restructure that evening routine to make sure that when you wake up in a less rushed fashion. And I always mention my typical routine, 3-2-1 routine. 3 hours before, you dim the lights of your room. 2 hours before, you have your last meal, because you should get ready to rest, not to digest. And 1 hour before, stop the contact with your electronic devices, because that impairs melatonin. It's all about activating certain hormones and deactivating others. So that's the 3-2-1 routine. Now, that's for some people, including myself, at times not feasible. So then you do the 3-2-1, but instead 30 minutes before, stop contact with electronics. 20 minutes before, you take a warm shower, do some breath work, and 10 minutes before, lights out.
That's doable.
That's sort of an easy version of the 3-2-1, right? 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes. And this way, you are now having more chances to wake up as your best self in a proactive mode. The thing that I would do if I was you is wake up earlier. Like shift everything forward. So you have time for yourself before you show up to the rest of the house.
It does make such a difference. There are of course days where I'll set an alarm a little bit earlier so that I can take a shower, wash my hair, get through that whole thing without having the kids around, so I can just focus on me getting ready. And it completely changes my mood, right? Because when they wake up, I'm the mom that can walk in and, oh, good morning, how was your sleep? Did you sleep well? And come on, let's get ready. And it's a lot more relaxed. And obviously me being calmer creates a much more calm, day for them. If I'm starting off rushed and anxious and stressed out and all that, I'm putting that on them, and I'm well aware of that. And I think that it translates at work as well.
100%.
Right, with your teams.
I got told this sentence, this phrase by, I cannot remember who, but probably a mentor. Behaviors are caught, not taught. So they are a sponge, and they're going to absorb. If they see you rush, they're going to be rushed. If they see you stressed, oh, mama does it, so it's fine.
Right.
And that's what I remind myself when I'm doing something I'm not necessarily proud of, right? So I remind myself that I must do it for them.
Yeah, and that's a big one, actually. It's hard. I think we all have our moments where we know better, but we don't do better.
Yeah, that's the knowledge gap, by Bob Proctor, the knowing doing gap.
Yeah.
So we know how to do better, but we don't not do it.
Yeah.
There's an exercise that I can tell you to resolve that knowing doing gap.
Okay.
So the knowing doing gap by Bob Proctor. We are doing things besides knowing that they're not the right thing to do, or not necessarily want to do them that way. So what we do is we take two columns, right? In one column, we write the NPAs, non-productive actions.
Okay.
And then in the other column, we write the productive actions. And what we do is we swap them. So instead of eliminating a habit or an action or incorporating another one, we just swap them. And one by one, this is an exercise that takes time to do, but is how we get to resolve the knowing doing gap.
Can you give me an example of like how that would work?
For instance, non-productive action, snacking before bed.
Okay.
Productive action, I'll start again. Non-productive action, snacking before bed. Productive action, drinking chamomile tea.
Okay.
So just swapping these two.
You're just swapping it. Okay, I get you.
Non-productive action, check your emails before bed. Productive action, read 5 pages of a book. And then you swap them. So that's essentially how the exercise takes place. That takes you from where you are to where you want to be. And it takes time. And it's a hit and miss sort of thing. But it has worked for me. He was one of my mentors, by the way. So
really?
One of his students, Deepak Badra, was my mindset coach. And he was a direct student of Bob Proctor. And they both changed my life in 2020. So the less money I had, the more I invested.
Oh, wow.
Legit, yeah.
Okay, oh, wow.
Because you don't get to where you want to be by saving.
Yeah, just keeping everything to yourself. Yeah, 100%.
So you need to burn the boats. Something that another mentor told me is you need to burn the boats. If you have a safety net, you won't make it. You burn the boats and you don't give yourself the opportunity to fail.
Oh, I like that a lot, actually.
If you don't burn the boats, you won't get anywhere because you are always, how to say this, half things, right?
Of course. You can say it.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I get it. And actually, that's super helpful. Super. And it's so easy to start to look into, not implement, but start to look into, get educated about. It's all about awareness, isn't it? You know, I think everyone knows what's good for you and what's bad for you and what you should and shouldn't do. But I don't think people understand the layers of complexity behind it and how easy you could be kind of taking yourself from, I don't know, if we use a ladder scenario, step 1 to step 7 of the degree of severity in whatever area you're in, you know? So things become a habit, things become normal. And all of a sudden you go from rushing to work one day to rushing to work for the last 2 years, you know? So I think... Small steps.
Marginal gains, getting 1% better every day.
Yeah.
And I tell this to my students when they say, but Diego, I cannot change all those habits in 1 week. And no one is asking you to. But if you start drinking more water and you start cutting your water at 6 p.m. so you don't wake up in the middle of the night, you're already 1% better. Imagine that you drink optimal water and adequate amount of hydration for the rest of your life. A lot of things will change. It's just one habit.
Yeah. No. Okay. I get it. Thank you.
You're welcome. No, I hope I can shed some light on some things that, they help me.
No, absolutely. And it's so funny because they're like little light bulb moments. A lot of things that you've said today are just light bulb moments that my listeners can take away and just...
They need to hit you emotionally, otherwise they won't move it.
That's it.
They need to hit you emotionally. You connect through the emotions and then you move ahead with logic. But if they don't hit you, and sometimes you got to be blunt and say, hey, because if you're doing that, your kid is suffering. It's the truth.
Yeah, I know.
It's the truth. Just you don't want to see it, but it is the truth. So you better change.
Yeah.
So once it hits you emotionally, you understand the opportunity cost and the cost of delay or the cost of inaction. Surely you'll move.
Diego, I'm so interested to see where you take this space, because I just feel like even though you've been in this journey for some time, you're at the start. And I think that this whole area is going to evolve so much further than what we can fathom right now. So I'm really interested to see kind of where you take it for any organization you work with, and for yourself and for everyone that you're interacting with, because I think you're really making a difference.
Thank you. I try. I try every day, trust me, every day to get better and make people better. And there is a certain threshold when I have more than what I need. I always say the same to my wife. I have more than what I need. I don't need $100,000 million. I have everything. I have more than what I need. I'm blessed to have. So once you reach that threshold, the only thing that makes me happier as a human being is see people change and see a smile on people's faces. And I can sound cheesy. It is the truth. I've been living with anxiety for the past 10 years. Trust me, the only thing that makes me feel better is to see other people get better because I am in the room. And if one sentence that I'm sharing today is going to get somebody off their couches and give a hug to their kids, so be it. That made my day.
It's so important. It's the best thing that you can do for someone, honestly. Okay. Thank you so much for coming on Culture A.
Well, I loved it, every second of it.
Thank
so
you.
I just hope that something that I said today gets your audience to think, reflect, and act.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then
I'm sure it will.
happy days.
I'm sure it will. Okay, so for those of you who are listening, please like, share, and subscribe to Culture A. I would love to hear your feedback on this episode. And I think that if any of you have questions or want to know more about this space, I mean, I would love to, I'll link your profile if that's okay for people just to learn about you. And
on LinkedIn, yeah.
Exactly. So I'll link Diego's details. You can get in touch with him, get in touch with me, give us your feedback, and stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you so much. Thank you again.
You're very welcome. And one more thing before I leave.
Yeah.
Thanks to First Abu Dhabi Bank for the opportunity to allow me to be creative and to allow me to be my best self and help people become their best self. So
that's amazing.
Shout out to them as well.
Shout out to them for sure. Thank you for seeing the value in your people. That's amazing.
100%.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you again.